Hey, good afternoon. My name is Kurt Morrow, and I am teaching Jazz Bass Fundamentals course 1 and 2. And I have decided to do a lesson today based off of a question from an online student. It was a very good question, it was. Let me just do a little quick revisiting of what Jazz Bass Fundamentals 1.2 is about. Jazz Bass Fundamentals 1.1, I said 1.2, I meant 1.1. We went over blues, the blues scale, the Mixolydian scale, and the bebop scale. And then we played it from the root to the octave, and sometimes up to the ninth, depending on which scale you're working on, plus the arpeggio, whether it be the regular 9 or the sharp 9. In the blues scale, it was the sharp 9. So I'm going to play through that just to refresh everyone's memory, or anybody that gets this video. I'm going to refresh your memory on how it goes. I won't play all of them. I'll just play a few. So this comes straight from Jamey Abersold, Volume 21, Track 13, all dominant 7 chords, and they go up chromatically from C. Okay? I believe 8 bars. You get 8 bars of each one. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll carry on.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you get the idea. So that D is D, F, G, A flat, A, C, D, and then the arpeggio D, F, A, C, F is the sharp 9, and then D flat. Anyway, you got the idea. So if you, I probably sent you the track, and I sent you the, in the syllabus, I sent you the book, listing of all the different tracks and how they do it. Okay, so the question is, this is the student. I was working on my blues scales last week. I've got them all together. I feel good about them. But how do I know when to play them? What do I play them over? What is, what is the, how do I put them into practical use, and in what context do they go in, and that sort of thing. It was a great question. So here's the deal. We learn these scales, we learn arpeggios, we learn all kinds of, triads and things that we can use over certain chords, but it's not, it's very true what Charlie Parker once said, is you learn all that stuff and then you forget about it and then you just go play. Because it's all in your ear, and you listen to what everybody's doing around you, and et cetera, et cetera. If you know a tune, your vocabulary will come out in the form of these scales and arpeggios and melodies and different harmonies and things that you study or that you just work on. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, I'm going to show you a way to just practice, to get away from the academic side of it, which is this. Because you really don't want to play that on a gig. That sounds like a blues scale and an arpeggio. But you're going to want to take those notes, and like Ron Carter has been saying in the last couple of years, his biography, Finding the Right Notes. You got to find the right notes to use, and you'll do it on the fly in context with what you're playing. So here's one way you can practice it and not necessarily make it a exercise. You could make it an exercise, but I'm going to start over again, the same track, but I'm not going to play the scale. I'm just going to improvise. I've got 8 bars over dominant 7 chords. I'm going to use the blues scale. It's a minor blues scale, by the way. So check this out. This is one thing you can do to practice.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's not a concert. It's just, So I went up to F. I went from C on up to F. And I just improvised some ideas over 8 bars. And as you continue to practice that, leave space. I don't know if I did a very good job of leaving any space, but I wasn't using the whole scale, and I try not to make it sound like a scale. Okay? So that's one way to practice it, because the ideas you practice along with these tracks, you can take them out on the bandstand. They'll come back. You'll hear it. And like I do this thing a lot when I go. I got that from Pick Up the Pieces by the Average White Band. That's a Hamish Stewart thing. I stole that from Hamish like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But I use it. But it's also in the blues scale, The A natural's not, but I hammer from the A flat, the minor third, down to the root. Anyway, it's just a cool lick. It's a cool little word. I use it a lot. Anyway, now here's another way you can do this, and this reverts back to the question. Let me pull up the track. Okay, so YouTube has thousands and thousands of tracks. I've got thousands of tracks on my computer that aren't from YouTube. If you don't have a bunch of tracks on your computer, you can just go to YouTube and pull up a tune that might be appropriate, that'll utilize the blues scale. In this case, I pulled up a standard by Thelonious Monk called Blue Monk. So I'm going to play Blue Monk, and I found this track. It's a little quicker than I normally would play it, but I'm going to play this. It's at quarter note equals 120. I'm going to play the melody twice because that's how you usually do it, and then I'm going to solo for a chorus, and I'm going to utilize, this is in the key of B flat, and they're all dominant chords, B flat 7, E flat 7, F7. In this particular track, the piano player does play an E diminished in there, E flat, E diminished before, Anyway, that's a whole chordal harmony thing. That's not what we're talking about. The question is, how do I use this stuff that I practice? How do I use the blues scale? When do I use it? Well, if you see dominant chords, here's the answer. Use the blues scale. If you're soloing, use the scale. Again, don't make it sound like a scale. Just take notes from it. Take notes from the B flat blues scale when you're on a B flat chord. Take notes from the E flat blues scale when you're on an E flat 7 chord. And the same with the F7. Now, in that particular assignment, we did Mixolydian scales as well, and the bebop scale, and those would work over this. Of course, Mixolydian being the 5th mode, the Mixolydian scales work over all dominant chords. The trick is to be able to say something with it. It's not a trick. It's the jazz tradition. The tradition is to be able to make something creative happen. Milt Hinton told me that once when he was talking about, his having to take a solo, in the Cab Calloway Orchestra. Anyway, story for another time. But he just said, try. It's your turn to solo. Try to be creative. Say something creative with what you know. And in this case, the question is, what do I do with the blues scale? Okay, so check this out. And this is a Blue Monk backing track. And this is what you would do, what I might do on the bandstand. Here we go. so there was some stuff, I was just playing, changing when the chords changed, playing, the blues scale and things from the blues scale, each one of those three scales. And I think I did some Mixolydian ideas in there. But that's how you do it. The answer to the question is, when you see dominant 7 chords, use the blues scale. But you have to be able to use it and not make it sound academic. It's good that you know those notes, but if you didn't know, what would you do? I don't know. I just invent something. I was inventing, but I was inventing with a purpose, and I was inventing using and then E flat. And then F. I played Mixolydian a minute ago. I like to go the tritone, because that flat 5's in the blues scale. Anyway, okay, so that's what you do. The other thing that you can do, and I will send this assignment out because it's part of another class. It's part of Jazz Fundamentals 1 and 2, not Jazz Bass Fundamentals, Jazz Fundamentals. By the way, this is all information from the University of North Texas because I graduated from there. So I have to give a little shout out to them because it's a great school. But what everybody's going to get is an assignment, pentatonics and blues scales. And you're going to learn 4 different types of scales: C major pentatonic, C major blues, C minor pentatonic, and C minor blues. We've just been playing the minor blues scale. In Jazz Bass Fundamentals, I just assigned the minor blues scale, and blues scale for short. And then I'm going to revert back to the question again and say, another thing to do to know how to utilize stuff is to go to recordings. And so on this next assignment, I'm going to provide staves. I might even give you a picture of this work because I did this work. And on the staves below, supply typical blues licks which you have located on recordings. Indicate the chord over which they sound. I'll do a video on all that and you'll have an idea. But the assignment is to go find a recording. In this case, I found a bunch of them because there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the assignment, there's 8 recordings you have to find. And then you just have to find a 2-bar phrase or a 2-bar lick, a blues lick. And Oscar Pettiford, Willow Weep for Me, off the Montmartre Blues recording at minute second marker 50 seconds 29, you'll hear that. You'll hear a cool blues lick. And then you just, you'll find your own. But we'll go over that. That's another assignment for another time. I don't want this to run too long, but if you have any questions, please email me. I'll put this up on my YouTube channel, and I don't do much editing because I don't know how to edit. So I just hope that they come out well and the point gets across and the sound is okay. But anyway, that's 15 minutes of a lesson and explaining and answering the question. I practiced the blues scale, now what do I do? When do I use it? The answer is use it over dominant 7 chords. Practice it with the Abersold recording that you were using and just improvise using the blues scale. Find a track of a tune like Blue Monk on YouTube or whatever you might have in your collection of tracks. And don't make it sound like a scale, but just use the scale in a solo over the chords. Make sure you're practicing with the harmonic movement of you would have no choice if you use the track because it's gonna play. But anyway, you get the idea. So anyway, thank you for listening to this video today. I hope it was helpful. Leave some comments below. if you have a question, and I'm happy to answer them. So anyway, this is Kurt Morrow, and I'm going to sign off for now. And thanks again for that very enlightening question, and I hope I answered it. All right, so long. Bye-bye.